From the central coast of New South Wales, Australia, it's the #1 podcast for the X-Men animated series. This is Generation X-Men with Bender and Brooksy.
Yes, welcome to the program. Thanks, Steve. This is Generation X-Men. I'm Bender, and with me as always is Brooksy.
Hey, hey.
Like the name suggests, we are Generation X-Men, and you are too. If you're new to this, what we'll be doing is going through all 5 seasons of X-Men the animated series, one episode at a time, giving you our thoughts, X-Quiz, tally time, and more importantly, having a laugh as well. So today we're up to our Slave Island, which I will say is an excellent follow-up to our Cold Vengeance. But before we get into that,
a bit of sad news
here today. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the passing of Len Wein, the co-creator of Wolverine. Wolverine has been a staple to X-Men, Marvel, and comic books in general. So this is a big, major loss to the comic book community, so he will be missed. But keep the spirit alive with Wolverine and X-Men. Okay, on the previous episode of the podcast, we brought up the question of our dream cast for the X-Men movie if it was done in mid to early 90s, which we'll give the answers to at the end of the episode, but we'll move on to
hang around for that one. That's going to be fun.
It's going to be a good one. So first up, we've got to be the Slave Island talk before we get into our dream cast. So, Brooksy, Slave Island.
You?
This is a big episode for me because we get the first appearance of one of my favourite characters, Cable.
Oh, Cable.
Oh, man. I like that little intro I gave him. He does have sort of like intro music every time you see him.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to bring up. Was like so good about him. He's got his own really noticeable theme. It's just that... And it's just... Yeah. You hear that noise. You know, Sentinels have the identifier of the footsteps. Cable's got his own theme that is really identifiable. So, before we get into that, it's time for a bit of X-Quiz.
Pop quiz, Hotshot.
Pop quiz!
Pop quiz, asshole.
Time for a surprise quiz.
Won't be a pop quiz on Wednesday. There's a pop quiz.
All right, Brooksy, you're up first, as always, for some X-Quiz, and I'll follow up, and I'll try my best to get this X-Quiz, because every week I say I'm on the ball, I've got it, you're not going to put one over me. You always manage to outscore me and quiz me out. So I'm going to answer them to the fullest of my abilities. So
all right,
go ahead.
I'll start you out with an easy one.
All right, I'm ready.
What year is Cable's phone on?
Jeez. Because I swear it changes. When as a kid, I always have to correct myself when I'm drawing him because I know his eye flash changes in certain episodes, but I'd say...
In this episode, it's always on the same ear.
Okay, I'm going to say it's on his left ear.
Correct.
Excellent. Jeez, I'll be shocked if I missed out on that one. Can't announce that he's my favourite character and get something like that wrong. All right, here's my first question. Who taught Jubilee how to pick locks?
Someone else at the orphanage or whatever. A girl at...
At orphanage. I was going to say that is correct. I was going to give you a gender, but you got there in the end. It is a girl at the orphanage. I reckon that would have been a nice spot for a little bit of, or maybe X-Cameo in just the name or an Easter egg.
Yeah.
But they didn't go with that. It was a girl at the orphanage. Well done.
So speaking of X-Cameos...
Oh, no. There's a ton of them.
There was a lot of them.
Yeah.
So we'll narrow it down to the ones that have speaking roles.
Yes.
How many can you remember that had speaking roles?
That had speaking roles?
New Mutants.
New Mutants that we haven't seen before. Is it Firestar?
Sunfire?
So, ba-bam. That's the first one I got wrong. I know there's Blob.
Yep.
Because he had some great lines. I see a whole bunch of them, but I can't remember who else spoke. There's that tiger lady.
That's her.
I can't remember I don't even know what her name is.
Feral.
Feral? Oh, that's lovely, isn't it? And someone else.
It's not in the prison.
No, pass. I give up.
That maybe has a phone on his head.
Oh, what? What? Cable?
Yes.
Oh.
We're introduced to him in this episode.
Oh, okay.
Has a speaking role.
Well, I would say it's more of an extended cameo. But I won't fight that. All right, in this episode we have the leader. What is his assistant's name?
Hodge.
Yeah. No, we have a first name? Cameron Hodge. Another bit of trivia, that was also Beast's lawyer's name.
Mr. Hodge.
Mr. Hodge. Is that just a popular name around the office?
They look very similar too.
I'll have to go back now and check out what the lawyer looked like because, I noticed Hodge this time. I That's the name of the... I've heard that name before.
So I'll piggyback on your leader.
Mm-hmm.
And he has his hair back in a ponytail.
Yeah, yeah.
What colour has he got it tied in a bow? What colour is the bow?
Well, his main colour scheme, I think, is purple and yellow.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's purple or yellow. And I'll say it's a red.
It is red.
Excellent.
Done well.
Excellent.
How about a hard one?
Oh. Oh, okay. I'm ready for a hard one.
What is Moira McTaggart's phone number?
Ah, jeez. I have no idea. 555065.
Well, you got some of it.
5?
It's 011 555 2222.
Should we call it to say, hey, Moira there? I need a place to hang out. I need some of those mutant collars. That is a hard one.
I also had how many cells are in the box?
Oh, the hot box.
Yeah.
I'll say 5.
4.
I got one more for you.
Yep, go.
I got one more for you. This may be a hard one. How many Sentinels got destroyed on camera, not including the ones in the Mastermold factory when the waves crashed in?
Oh, that is a good question.
Big and deep. Well, I was going to come up later as tally time, but I thought, nah, I'm gonna kick it off with a bit of this.
It's only a few.
Only a few. Can't play the episode out in your head.
Okay, I'll take a wild stab and say 2.
No, way more than 2. It's 5.
5.
5 got wiped out.
All right.
So yeah, that's my last trivia question. X quiz.
There
You got
go.
another one? Another super
That's-
hard one
that's
again?
it. That's it.
Fucking phone number.
Hey, it was on the screen for more than a second.
I was looking at my laptop taking notes.
Previously on
Okay, so
X-Men.
Cyclops has the shits with Gambit about making stuff up. He just doesn't like it. Gambit says that Genosha is welcoming to mutants and they should check it out. Storm, Gambit, and Jubilee are chosen to go. And then we see that their room is filled with the green gas and they have to escape. But when they are surrounded by guards and robots.
Mm-hmm.
And they fight back, but are ultimately caught by another Sentinel.
Yes, the big Sentinel, big teaser at the end. And because of this previously on X-Men, it's a recap of the last episode. We don't get the extended recap because last episode was a big to be continued. So from now on, I think the next one would be a to be continued. So these previously on X-Men, there's going to be really short recaps. All right, Brooks, time for the breakdown.
Break it down! Break it down!
Now it's time for a breakdown.
Breakdown. Where is she?
Okay, so today we are doing Season 1, Episode 7, Slave Island.
Mm-hmm.
The original air date for this one was February 13, 1993. It was written by Mark Edens and directed by Larry Houston.
On you, Larry.
Okay, so the episode starts with an alarm going off, and Jubilee is woken up in a jail cell, and the guards let the mutants out of the cells to go to work for the day. So this is where we see Mystique.
Yes, all our X-Cameos. There's a ton of them.
So yeah, there's Mystique, Avalanche, Pyro, Feral, Sunfire, Blob, Domino, Warpath, North Star, Aurora, Richter, and Gargoyle.
Richter. Oh, you got to point out who's Richter
Welcome
is.
to the party.
See you at the party, Richter. Because I was going to point out, Domino's going to be in the new Deadpool.
Yeah.
That's who it is. I wanted to talk about that, but now I want to know who the hell Richter is.
Well, you see Richter later. I think it's he. I don't know. I should.
It.
Yes.
We have trouble with gender.
Yeah, we do. They're in the green.
Oh,
and
okay.
during the fight scene, they cause a little bit of an earth tremor.
Oh,
And,
okay.
yeah, that's their part. That's their power.
Okay, so Richter's just a not as good Avalanche.
Yeah.
Oh, that's unfortunate. But anyway, yeah, Domino going to be in the new Deadpool, and she gets a nice little cameo in here. So her character wouldn't have been that old when she appears in the X-Men anime series. I think she's relatively new. I'll have to look that up later, but that's
Okay.
pretty cool. I want to start straight away with this episode. It starts in the middle of the cells, and where we left, it was them being captured. Did you like how we just jumped straight into the cells and they've got the collars on? Would you have liked to have seen them, like the Sentinel walk them back to the prison and all that sort of thing? Because I don't know, when I was just watching it again, I was like, oh, this is a bit sudden how we're just suddenly inside the prisons already.
Yeah, I liked it. I think they're running with that.
Yeah.
Every episode seems to just drop you in. And
Okay.
you just got to go, what's going on here? Yeah,
Right.
okay. So you got to stay up with it. I like that.
Okay, yeah, I suppose that's pretty cool. It's just to me, just felt a little jarring. So I imagine, that's for people coming in and just seeing one episode at a time and not being able to follow up. They can just sort of jump in whenever. So yeah, just wanted your thoughts on that.
So we're shown that they're building a dam. So that's what they've got the mutants there for.
Mm-hmm.
The guard explains that the collars that the mutants are wearing control their mutant powers. And they turn them off the day so they can use their powers to work, which is pretty cool. They get to use their powers to work.
It's all within a controlled environment, and this guard, he's pretty rough. Guards will be deactivated once. He's got this big handlebar moustache or a big interesting beard. That's what I wrote down because it struck me as being interesting, and he's real rough as guts sort of prison guard.
If they try to escape, they reactivate the collars.
I don't know if you've seen these movies, but the collars remind me of those prison movies from the 90's, Fortress. And there was this Rutger Hauer movie where he had a big collar around his neck, and they had like boundaries on the prison walls. Instead of walls, they just had the fences up. And to a degree, it's like Running Man as well, the Schwarzenegger film. So I thought that was pretty cool getting those inspirations from those. Well, that's what I was vibing anyway.
Yeah, Running Man.
Running Man. Well, less said about that movie, the better.
If you try to remove your collar, it will explode and destroy you.
Have you noticed they don't say kill or die yet? It's always destroy.
Yeah, I think that's the safe way of doing it. Well, I can't imagine you can't use that sort of aggressive sort of language when you're talking to kids, because Fox Kids, I mean, that's have a lot to do with the standards and practices people.
I also noticed here that Storm is now in her uniform. From last time, she was actually in her civvies when she was
that's
fighting.
when she got captured, yeah.
Do you think they let her change, or they said, "I'll bring your suitcase," or what?
I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I mean, it would have been cool to see some of the mutants outside of their fighting outfits.
Yeah.
But I think just to make things easier, put them all in their cool fighting uniforms.
So immediately after the guard deactivates the collars, Storm tries to fly away. And she starts lightning blasting all the guards, and
yeah, it's a very spur of the moment sort of move. It wasn't very well thought out, very impulsive, as Beast would say. So impulsive.
And Jubilee tries to run away, but Gambit stops her.
Yeah,
and,
there's little hints of a Gambit might have a plan or something, but he just straight up stopped her.
Well, he's been in prison. He knows what's going on.
He knows what's up.
So the guard just reactivates the collars straight away, and Storm falls out of the sky straight into the creek.
Yeah.
My powers! Storm!
So Storm manages to get herself out of the water, and just as she's getting onto the land, a big tentacle comes out of the water and grabs her leg.
We know what that means.
And we know that is from a Sentinel.
And one of the coolest reveals, he comes up with, it turns out to be a very deep creek.
Yeah.
Because his head pops up, he's looking mean and ice cold, and the water's running off his head. One of the coolest reveals of a Sentinel in the series, I reckon, because that was badass.
So Jubilee thought that they wiped all those dweebs out, and Gambit has that awesome line.
There's always more gators in the bayou.
Remember, he's Cajun. He loves talking about bayous and gators.
So the Sentinel returns back up to the platform where they're building the dam with Storm to the guards.
Yeah.
Then at that stage, Trask then appears and informs the mutants that the leader has said that they will release them once the dam is built. But if they try to escape, they will never leave Genosha.
Does he say? Yeah, he doesn't say never leave Genosha alive, right? He just says you'll never leave Genosha.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, getting rid of that sort of death talk and kill talk. Just real quick, I think the movie with Rutger Hauer with the collar around his neck is called Wedlock. Just something I saw ages ago when I was a kid. But yeah, I always thought I need to see it. I haven't seen it. It's on the list.
Yeah, I haven't seen either of those.
No, you haven't seen Fortress with Christopher Lambert? That's a good one. Filmed in Australia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I liked it.
What year was that from?
92, I think. It was originally supposed to be Schwarzenegger, but he was asking too much.
Okay.
And they got in Christopher Lambert, and they took it to Australia where they had the tiniest budget.
Did they shoot at Luna Park too?
No. I don't think it was Luna Park. No, it was set in the future, so it would have been 97 or something.
So it was Cog 2 Island?
No. I think it was Warner Brothers the movie studio on the Gold Coast. That's where
okay.
they filmed that one.
Right.
But yeah, it's an interesting flick.
So Trask tells the Sentinel to dispose of Storm permanently.
Ooh, yeah.
And Gambit yells and says that they're making a mistake and Storm is too valuable to kill.
Yeah, giving up some information.
Yeah, she's got the power to fill the dam up once they finish building it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Storm tries to tell him that knowledge is power and not to give him too much info, but Gambit knows what's going on. They should trust Gambit.
Yeah, and the Sentinel tells her to be silent.
Yeah.
I love that bit.
Gambit, what are you doing? Knowledge is power.
Be silent.
Trask also mentions that the mutants are all interrogated when they are captured and decide that they can put Storm in the box.
Till then, put her in the box. Yeah. So if people were paying attention, she hates boxes and enclosed spaces because she's claustrophobic.
So yeah, it was very reminiscent of like Cool Hand Luke.
Oh, right.
The box for me.
No, I haven't seen Cool Hand Luke.
So you haven't seen Cool Hand Luke.
So it reminded me of Longest Yard. That's a week in the hot box. Who gives a shit?
So Jubilee and Gambit are working on what looks like to be reinforcing. I don't really want to get into this. It was just annoying me. What are they doing with this reinforcing?
Not proper construction.
It didn't make sense to me. And
I thought they were just bundling up those big, whatever those bars are called. Just
the reinforcing bars.
Yeah, they're just bundling them up for later use.
But
They were spares.
They
or something.
come in bundles. So I'm like, what are they doing, Benny? I don't get it. Then Blob, he gets his first line here. He's like, put your weight into it, pretty boy.
And he just bends it real easy.
Yeah. But he's only got one. He doesn't have like a whole bundle of them. Like, I don't want to get into it.
It's a construction thing.
So then a guard wearing a very similar face mask to Gambit.
Yeah, I'll call them head socks. All those guards have similar ones to Gambit with the face cut out and the ears popping out as well.
So she tells Gambit to go and break rocks, which sounds pretty bad, but it's probably the best thing for Gambit to do. All he does is pick stuff up.
He charges stuff up to blow up. Unless you needed rocks to be broken, he wouldn't be much help in the construction game.
But that's a great thing. He just picks up rocks, bang, they're broken. It's not back-breaking labour for Gambit to be breaking rocks.
Yeah, he's got it pretty chill.
Yeah. So they got Sunfire there. He's drying the concrete, which is probably the only thing he can do with his power.
Dry that concrete evenly, Sunfire. We don't want it to crack.
We see the fire raging in the distance of the valley.
There's a bit of a boom, boom off in the distance.
And you get that cool...
Get a little bit of the cable thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, ooh. Even hearing that now, I was like getting chills. Like, oh, yes, I know what's coming in the rewatch tonight. I know we're about to see my guy.
It's him.
Isn't that a great line that appears all the time? It's him. That just raises so many questions for the audience. Like, well, who is him? Where did he come from? What is he a threat? I swear we should do a supercut of all the movies that say it's him.
Okay.
Because there's so many of them.
You think it's him?
It's him.
It's him.
That's him!
It's him! Well, yes, it's me. It's him.
So then we see two Sentinels fly over towards the fire. Jubilee takes advantage of the situation and she pockets a piece of wire from when everyone's distracted.
Yep.
The leader comes onto the intercom now and says that he's decided that there will be no more work for the rest of the day and puts all the mutants back in their cells. And remember, your leader loves you.
Oh, we love the leader.
I love some good leader talk. And then we get a cool little blue flashing X-Wipe here.
Yeah, we've got the lightning X-Wipe, changing it up.
So yeah, we're getting all different X-Wipes. That's awesome.
I like it.
So Cyclops is bitching in the friggin' mansion because he can't get in contact with the other X-Men on Genosha. Yeah. He's like, remind me not to buy stock in the Genosian phone company. And Jean reminds him that Storm grew up on the streets of Cairo and she can handle anything that Genosha throws at her.
Unless it's been put in a box.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up, I was watching this episode the other day with some mates and they were confused with Jean Grey's uniform because it's very close to being skin coloured because it's a peach or an orange. I think it was Brian, he said, is that a uniform like that colour or is she just revealing a lot of side boob at the moment?
Well, it's the same colour as Sabretooth. So.
Yeah. So it could be a lot of People are got that different sort of colour blindness. They could be thinking, walking around, these people just walking around with mankinis on or whatever.
I think they just went to the same tailor.
It was a popular design at the time.
Well, look what the cat drug in.
I'm back.
And Gene saying, we've been trying to contact you for days. Where have you been?
Achoo!
Wolverine has a big sneeze. Somewhere cold.
So his running away didn't really mean anything. He was gone for, a couple of days, and then he's just back.
And he's back.
See, that's how he does it. I don't know why Cyclops is so confused when this happens. I imagine it happens all the time.
You got to remember, Bender, he goes where he wants to go.
Don't have to tell me, I know. Tell Cyclops, he don't get it.
So then we cut straight back to Genosha there. That's all we got of the mansion.
Yeah.
And they're having power issues. And so
yes.
then the power goes out and Jubilee gets a chance to use her wire to break out of a cell.
And that's when we find out some girl at the orphanage taught her how to pick locks.
And she says, I am too slick.
You say so, kid.
She goes to break Gambit out of his cell, but Gambit isn't keen on helping her and tells her that it's her plan and she should ask the other prisoners to help him.
Yeah, Gambit's all down the dumps and emo at this time. It's like, what's wrong with you, Gambit? Have fun. But I guess he's flashing back to when he was in prison and he's not having a good time.
The other prisoners aren't really up for it either. Feral, Sunfire and Blob, they wouldn't risk getting in trouble. And they already told them that once they build the den, they'll let them go. So they're not keen.
Fools, just like all the prison movies, the ones that don't want to escape because they're scared. But then we get this great line from Blob.
Dumb kid, go to bed.
He's so funny in this.
There's only a couple of lines, but they're great lines.
They're all gold. Love Blob. More Blob.
So then the power starts to come back on and Jubilee quickly runs back to a cell and only just makes it in time. So we cut back to the war room again now. And Cyclops, Jean and Rogue are going to Genosha to ask the professor. They ask the professor if he wants to come. But he says he has some things to do. The X-Men don't ask any questions. They just leave. They just, he's got things to do. He must have a lot of things.
Doesn't really like sharing with his X-Men, does he?
So this is when the professor rings Muir Island Mutant Research Center.
Yeah.
He's looking for Moira McTaggart.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a nice little hint of what's to come. Nothing that overtakes the episode, but just a little bit of foreshadowing on what's coming up, which is good.
It's well done. So then we see a shot of the Blackbird coming out of its cliffhanger again.
Yep.
And it looks like it's like sort of camouflage. Did you see that? It
Yeah,
just
it's
sort of
got
appears.
I like it's called a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
That's very well
You
done,
like that?
Brixer. That's
Yeah.
one of your finest. That's outstanding, actually. It's good writing.
Yeah, that just reminded me of Batman.
Yeah, with the
Getting in the Batcave.
the hologram to the
Yeah.
Batcave.
So the next day starts on Genosha, but Gambit has been taken away during the night.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, Sunflower is now... Sunflower.
He is a sunflower.
Sunfire is keen to go along with Jubilee's plan.
Yeah, he's down with the plan now.
He whispers to her, "We are with you, just say when." So, you weren't keen last night, mate. I haven't got the rest of the plan.
When did this change? I stopped. You'd be like, dude, I stopped making the plan
right.
when you said you weren't in. Now I've got to wing it. Good thing Jubilee was down for it anyway.
So as soon as Jubilee walks past the guard, she jumps him and takes his controller to turn off the mutant collars, but it doesn't work. So then Sunfire gets blasted by a Sentinel, and also Blob. So everyone else just sort of just gives up
They
straight
just
away.
taps
Just
out.
like,
Oh, this isn't working. I don't want to get blasted. You win. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and a Sentinel comes in there and hooks Jubilee's leg with a tentacle.
Yeah.
And then he throws her straight into the box right next to Storm.
My note for that scene was Sentinels are awesome. Don't get much awesome to that. I just like Sentinels. They're so cool and tough.
I have apprehended the leader of the mutant rebellion.
So the guard says they were warned by one of their own, a mutant. So Storm is in a bad state here and says that she will make a snowstorm once the sun comes up.
Yeah, she's tripping.
And she's like, Gambit will save us. So we cut to Gyrick and Trask now on the in the Sentinel factory.
Yep.
And we're introduced to Mastermold.
Yeah, Mastermold, king of the Sentinels. This is the first time we see him, and he's looking magnificent in his big throne there. And
Yeah,
he's,
so pretty much he's just a huge Sentinel.
an even bigger one, yeah.
With like a yellow Is it like a yellow head?
Got a
sort of
yellow
thing?
crown and yellow details around his arms, and he's got a yellow utility belt into his colour scheme. And he's basically just a walking Sentinel factory. So he's so big, he makes other Sentinels. I want one of those in the action figures.
Oh, yeah?
He'd be as big as the damn bookcase itself. I want it so bad.
Yeah, and so he just makes them. They come out of his chest.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then they get lifted to the storage up on the wall where they get zapped with power.
So the leader and Cameron Hodge show up and tell them that they are using too much power, and they have blacked out half of Genosha last night.
Yeah, that's where we get the where did the power go? So it's just Mastermold just sucking too much power out.
So this is also why they're building the dam, because they want the hydroelectricity.
Yeah, to fund. Yeah, which I think is a pretty good plot for the episode, right?
It all ties together. It's like, oh, this is a good idea.
So this is that, and now we know what's happening with the whole Genosha.
So Garrick says, "Good to see you, Colonel," and he says, "I am called leader now." Mr. Garrick, do not forget that. Oh man, I love me some leader talk.
I love it when the man with power goes mad and then he starts giving himself a name. You ever go mad without power? It sucks. No one listens to you. It reminded me of Immortan Joe in Fury Road. If you follow the details of how he became that, he was originally a colonel, then proclaimed himself an immortal, kind of like, I don't know, Kurtz in Apocalypse Now, but that's an old sort of favourite thing, but it comes across really silly here because the leader's wearing a dressing gown or whatever. He's got a silly ponytail.
So the leader has heard about the revolution this morning, and Truss says they allowed it to happen because they wanted to crush the spirits of everyone.
Ice cold.
And then this is when they show that Gambit was the one that betrayed everyone.
Yeah, get the ad break.
So we get a cool reveal here of Gambit walking out of the shadows as the door opens. That's a cool shot.
Yeah, we get the silhouette, so anyone can put it together who it is, but we get that cool shadow reveal.
So we come back from the ad break, and Garrick is quizzing Gambit on why he portrayed the other mutants.
Mm-hmm.
And after he helped Jubilee at the mall and breaking out into the Mutant Control Agency.
Call back.
So they call him back to everything. So that's cool.
Yeah, because it's a Sentinel episode, you got to mention all the previous entanglements with the Sentinels.
Gambit says they call themselves the X-Men.
X-Men. What is this with this X-Men? He doesn't like X-Men.
And Garrick wants Gambit to tell him where he can find the X-Men, but Gambit says, if I tell you, maybe you don't need me anymore. I think it's just better if I take you there.
He's smart. He knows not to give up too much information.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Garrick is suspicious that Gambit would help him and betray his friends. And Gambit says, they're not my friends. They don't like me. Don't trust me. And they're just using me, just like you. So the guards take Gambit back to the prison in a hover convertible. And along the way, Gambit pulls out a deck of cards, which I guess they must have let him keep.
Yeah. Well, he can't use his powers. He might as well have all this paraphernalia.
So he pulls them out and he says, do you want to see a card trick? And he gives him the old 52 pickup. Just flicks the cards into the air.
Distraction.
And then, boom, elbows both the guards.
Gives him each a sack whack, then he dives out of the car, the convertible hover car.
The guards stop the car and start to shoot at Gambit. But then their car is shot by like a yellow laser which surrounds it, and then it explodes.
Yellow charge blast.
Yeah.
We know what that means. Also got a little hint of the music there too.
Yeah, we get Cable's music come in. And Gambit looks around and sees a gun on the ground. So he walks over to try and pick it up. And we see a big footstep on top of the gun. And Gambit looks up and he says,
Tilt up to reveal the man, the guy, the dude, the big two shoulder pads, arm with a bunch of bullets on him, the plasma rifle and another plasma rifle on his back. Got the headset, and it's Cable, man. And that's an entrance too. Big foot, and he just gives the old As a kid, around this time I was big into Arnold Schwarzenegger, and all this Terminator thing is just a big jack dude with a gun, and then a big jack dude with a gun appears in one of my favourite cartoons, so, well, looks like he's my favourite from now on.
This guy's awesome.
This guy's awesome, I'm going to get behind him.
So Cable says he's looking for the one who calls himself the leader. And Gambit says he's in the factory besides the bridge.
Then 2 more guards try and test him again.
Yeah, they come under attack from the other guard. And Cable shoots at the tree and where the guards were hiding, and then the tree explodes.
Charge blast that bloody tree.
And Gambit says, "Who are you?" And we hear,
The wild man of Borneo.
Oh, man, that's an awesome one.
So sarcastic, too.
Gambit tries to get Cable to help him free the mutants, and he gives him the key to the collar, and then he disappears. So this is when we start to get a voiceover here from Hodge, and before it cuts back to Hodge, Trask, and Gyrick, and they're in a meeting with the leader, and he's giving the backstory of Cable.
Yeah, they talk to him, say he's just a hired mercenary who worked for the Colonel when he was still a Colonel and not the leader anymore. So here, obviously a bit of a change in the origin story for Cable because he's obviously not a time traveler at this point. I think at this point in the series they just wanted to get some cool characters onto the series because I guess they didn't know how many episodes they would get after this. That's what I think. They said, let's get Cable in because he's popular in the comic books at the moment. Let's just get him into the show and we can work around the time travel thing just so we can have him on the series because he's a cool character. But yeah, I can forgive that he's not a time traveler yet because they can explain that later. Has a non-metal arm in this as well. His left arm normally has got that robotic arm in this one. This one is just normal skin coloured. So, yeah, they've changed up his origin a little bit, but that's fine.
Cable lives by his code, but he will not live long.
So we cut back to Jubilee in the box now. And this is where she's saying, I always thought it'd be great to have a sauna. So it's obviously hot in there for her.
Mm-hmm. Here, kaboom.
Yeah, you hear Gambit's charging up the cards, and then her door blasts off, and she looks out and she sees the Sentinel head on the ground.
Severed Sentinel head.
And Gambit slides his playing card into the door of Storm's cell and blasts that off too. And Storm comes out and says, I knew you would rescue us. And then the guards start firing upon the X-Men, so they run away, and Gambit blasts a hole in the fence, and he's running through the trees, and he's carrying Jubilee.
That's right.
And he's like, how do you sweat so much, Petite, and not lose weight?
That's cruel.
So we cut back to the leaders meeting here with Gyrick and Trask and Hodge. And the leader is explaining about the collars. And we're also see in this scene, but we see Gambit taking the collars off the other two.
It's in a cut. As they're speaking about the collars, we see the Gambit taking the collar off the two. So it's a good way of combining both scenes, having them talk about the collars as the X-Men are getting rid of the collars.
The leader explains that the collars were invented by a scientist in Scotland, and Gyrick wants a large shipment of them. And the leader wants to know how much they'll pay, and Trask says once the dam is built, they'll have heaps of Sentinels, so it'll be hard to refuse them.
Yeah. I also want to mention during that collar, see there's a white dove that flies across the camera for some reason. Was John Woo in at the time?
Are you going to bring up bloody Hard Target again?
I am not going to bring up Hard Target. I just noticed something you notice. A white dove just flies by. Could be signifying freedom. I'm not too sure. But I just thought that was an interesting thing to add into the scene. And yeah, there should be more of them.
So the Gambit-looking guard comes running in now and informs them that 3 mutants have escaped.
The lady guard.
Yeah. And at that stage, then you see Cable's gunshot again through the window.
Through the window. Hits that table. Yeah. Charges the table up.
So we look outside and Cable's up in the tree and he's taking pot shots at the Sentinel factory.
Then he shoots down the chimney. I said, why'd he fuck the chimney up? What's that going to do?
Why not? So inside, Mastermold is running out of power.
Yeah, he powers down. Boom.
So we cut down the creek to the mutants working, and we see the large explosion at the factory. And the guards tell them to get in line, and that's enough work for the day. And then this is when Storm flies in, starts electrocuting a bunch of the guards and robots.
She comes in angry. She's pissed.
Yeah. So Gambit, he comes in and grabs a bucket full of nuts and bolts, and he charges a handful of them up, throws them at the Sentinel.
Monsieur Sentinel! He gives him the handful of nuts.
So yeah, they don't explode and hit the Sentinel. They sort of just cause him to get off balance, and he falls off the dam. And he tries to initiate his rocket boosters, but not in time. He just crashes into the ground. That's cool. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting like the Sentinel to blow up as he threw a heap of them through.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it just causes him to fall down.
Just knocked him off, yeah.
It just kept going. It was awesome.
It's a good little bit.
Now, Jubilee takes out a few of the guards here with her fireworks, and then she steals the collar controller again. And this time she manages to get it to work and disable all the collars.
Yeah, the collars thing flashed. Collars unlatch. Was that the right sort of wording for you?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, all the collars now come off.
Yeah.
They don't even need to use the key.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't like that part.
Yeah, I mean, well, you had to get rid of them all at the same time, but I didn't think there would be a button right next to the master controller there. What if you accidentally hit it? Then you're totally screwed if you're a human. But yeah, I was just worried about I was just concerned about the wording. Unlatched didn't seem tough or, I don't know, proper terminology for me. But anyway,
they should have just disarmed them then. Then they
collars
did the fight.
disarmed.
Yeah, and then they did the fight, and then after the fight, then they give them the key to take them off. That's the way it should have gone, I think.
Yeah, this is just a bit quicker.
So the rest of the mutants then now join the fight.
Yeah, they're all freed up.
Because they've all got their powers. So we see Sunfire takes out a Sentinel, and Richter uses his little small earthquakes. And then you see Warpath, he takes on a bunch of the robots.
Yeah, before that we see the mutants coming from the right and then the Genosian militia coming from the left. I wrote down there was a chicken walker in there because I noticed that there was a chicken walker in there. I thought, oh, that was pretty cool. Why not?
So then we also see Northstar and his sister Aurora. They're flying around, and then they do their big high five. Yeah, and it causes the really blinding light. Yeah.
Happy landings, goon!
Stop! You must not harm him!
So then Storm tries to stop him throwing him off the edge, but he manages to throw over Storm, and she puts a wind gust down under, catches him, and flies him back up to knock Blob on his ass. So the X-Men want the freed mutants to help them destroy the dam, so they can't make any more Sentinels.
Yep.
However, the mutants are more reluctant to follow Jubilee now because she already screwed with them more.
Because her improvised plan that they weren't on board for, but they suddenly want to be a part of, didn't work. Like, yeah, screw you guys.
So they would be much happier once they take control of Genosha. Then they'll come back to destroy the Sentinel base.
Yeah, which is something that doesn't really get a payoff until later on in the series because the mutants of Genosha, you don't really hear from them for ages, I don't think. Not even in the next couple of seasons. So they set the seeds for this one, but they didn't really build on it. Yeah.
So then Gambit is worried that the X-Men that are left don't have the power to destroy the dam. But Storm says, but there is a power greater than ours hidden in the clouds.
Oh, quiet, Storm. Just start her up. So don't worry. I'll just destroy it with my Storm powers. Before we move on, I've got to go back. As the Genosian mutants were leaving, Blob takes the key off Jubilee and says, "Give me that key." He's such a prick.
He doesn't even know what it does.
They don't even need it. All the collars are gone.
So now we cut to Gyrick and Trask in the Sentinel factory, and Gyrick is leaving to head back to Washington. And then you see Cables in the foreground there, and he starts to follow them, and he shoots 2 Sentinels on the way
charges
through.
2 Sentinels up, wipes them out.
Then Mastermold is really running out of power here, and he sort of creates his last Sentinel. It's like half made.
Yeah, I love the look of this incomplete Sentinel. It didn't have all the plating, so you could see all the gears and all the pistons inside of him. Half his helmet wasn't made, and he had teeth sticking out of his face. Well, his teeth weren't covered up with the face was incomplete. And that Sentinel was really, really cool. It felt really threatening too. It always creeped my sister out. Okay. But whenever I was drawing, if I ever wanted to do the tough Sentinel or the quick one, you just draw a quick, incomplete one because to me he's more menacing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that sort of goofball factor to him like the other ones do, like casually just falling off the dam because he can't turn his rockets off in time. This is like the only Sentinel I think that you see goes into a full run.
He looks a bit smaller too.
Yeah, it could be a quicker, more nimble sort of Sentinel, and that's the one that's sent after Cable to terminate him. So maybe a Terminator sort of Sentinel. It's really cool. I'd really dug that.
So the leader here is surrounded by his guards, and he wants them to take him to his car.
Yeah, one of the dudes brushing his gown down.
He is. And so they go to open the door, but then it charges up again and explodes. And Cable comes through and he says, "Remember me, Colonel."
And there's right. So we think we're going to get a cool Cable bit, but bam, he gets shot right in the back by charging in Terminator Sentinel.
So then it turns into a fight between Cable and that Sentinel. And Cable turns to shoot at the Sentinel, but he seems to miss too high and he hits the roof.
Yep.
And you think, oh no, he's missed. And the Sentinel shoots back at Cable, knocks his gun out of his hand.
Gets shot again.
And then the charge explodes above the Sentinel, and then everything in the ceiling above him just falls on him.
Yeah, he gets hit by a huge beam or something, and then the whole ceiling collapses on him. Cable never misses. He always knows what he's doing. He's got that charge shot.
So we cut back out to Storm. She's still trying to make this big storm. And she's summoning the full power of the storm.
Well, yeah, it's very vague, isn't it?
And so finally there's enough water and lightning, and it starts to break the dam up.
Mm-hmm.
And just then she loses all of her power and just sort of passes out on top of the dam, which also collapses at the same time.
Didn't really think this one out.
No, she shouldn't have been standing on the dam. She was trying to collapse. Yeah, not the best idea, Storm. So yeah, she's falling into the water, and then we see Rogue. She flies in and catches her.
Rogue comes in for the big save. And what was her line? Did you write that one down?
You've been working too hard, gal.
Yeah. I'll try to analyse it. There's no sexual innuendo in that line, so I was just like, nah, that's a safe line. It's not a sexy line.
So we cut to the leader, and he's in his car. Then he turns to Hodge and says, "Have you ever been to Switzerland, Mr. Hodge?"
But they're cut off by the music.
Slams on the brakes.
Was this a hover car or just a regular?
I think it was a regular car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, charge cars, charge shots, charge blasts the limo, and then they got time to bail out.
Everyone's got time to bail out. They make sure they show everyone coming out.
It's like a clown car. They just bop, bop, bop.
And Cable walks up and he kicks the gun out of the soldier's hand.
Yeah.
And he walks up to the leader and he says,
I thought you were going to bring democracy to Genosha. I don't mind being wrong, as long as I can correct my mistakes.
He's about to wipe him out, but Hodge gets the gun on Cable.
Yeah, Hodge comes up behind him with another laser pistol.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Blast him, Hodge."
Shoot him.
And then we hear the sound of the water coming.
Mm-hmm.
And the big tidal wave that's come from the dam. It's coming down the creek now. And it's going to come over the bridge, which they're all standing on. And all we hear now is just Cable laughing.
He's just laughing. He's just laughing at death. I see that's another reason for me to like him. It's like, this is a confident dude. I don't know if as a kid I was nervous that I'd never see him again, or I just got the next episode. But yeah, that was a really cool scene for Cable just yucking it up.
So yeah, then we cut into the factory, and Mastermold can hear the water coming.
Yeah, it's time to get the fuck out of Dodge.
He sort of gets up off of his chair, tries to walk away, and he goes, "I am still plugged in."
So they pan down to his foot, and he's still got 2 tubes in him. And that's when the water crashes through and knocks all the Sentinels off the wall and wipes him out.
Then the X-Men land in the Blackbird and collect up Gambit, Jubilee, Rogue, and Storm.
Mm-hmm.
They take off straight away again. And Cyclops is on the radio. He's trying to get in contact with the Professor, but he can't.
Mm-hmm.
Storm comes to now on the jet. And Jubilee apologizes to Gambit for not trusting him. So as they fly over the mansion, Cyclops goes, "The school!" And Rogue's like, "It can't be." And then we got Wolverine gets a claw drawing.
Yeah, claw drawing in the last minute, which accomplishes nothing.
No.
He's inside the jet. Why do you need to get the claws out? Because he's Wolverine. He's got to get the claws out.
We couldn't go an episode without a claw draw.
Yeah.
Like, where can we throw one in? He can't just walk into the war room and go, "I'm back."
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Maybe they had to quota they had to hit on the episode there. He has to get his claws out angrily at some point. But yeah, we see the mansion has been destroyed by an unseen force, and then it's to be continued.
It actually doesn't say to be continued.
What?
It just fades to black.
You're kidding.
Yeah, and that's the end of the episode.
Really? I could have sworn that there was a to be continued there.
No.
Far out.
Yes.
Playing games. Larry, you playing games with me. Make me think I saw a to be continued.
So, Bender, what did you think of this episode?
again, we're on a roll here. This is a solid episode, solid follow-up to A Cold Vengeance. And, of course, I can't say that I don't like the episode because my guy Cable's in it. And, but as a kid, huge impact on me, huge impact of what I was going to be drawing from this point on. Everything had to have Cable in there, shooting a Sentinel, as well as Wolverine getting it on and doing that sort of stuff. But, this is another highly rewatched episode for me. Coming straight after Cold Vengeance, I can just go straight into Slave Island and again and again and again for our next couple of episodes because, this is a favourite of mine. I mean, we've got Sentinels, I love Sentinels. Got Cable, love Cable, and then we've got funny lines from Blob, killing it with these lines, and we get like the cool Terminator half-built Sentinel. So for me, this has got a lot of rewatch value. I love this episode. This is another classic. So
when I was saying that it just faded to black and there was no to be continued,
the
reason for that was because the next episode, the Unstoppable Juggernaut, was not finished.
Oh, really?
So during the first airing of this, they actually didn't show any of that last scene where they're flying in the jet or the crashed mansion.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they skipped a couple episodes.
You're kidding.
So this didn't air until its second running. So you didn't see any of these scenes until its second airing.
Shit. So when did the episode finish on TV the first time?
So when they get in the jet,
and
then they just go back, and then apparently there was just a stock shot of the mansion that they get back to.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
I want to see that footage. Oh, how about that, eh? That's crazy.
So that's why you didn't see your to be continued.
That's crazy how they make cartoons like that. You'd think they'd have them all finished. Episode 1 to, say, 12, and then they screen them all at the same time, but they're still working on them as they're airing them. That seems nuts to me.
So they skipped the Juggernaut one and went straight to The Cure, and then come the Apocalypse. They were aired for the next 2 weekends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it wasn't until it was played in reruns that, we saw this one as it's originally supposed to be written.
That is crazy. That is crazy. Imagine watching it for the second time, and if you're familiar with it, you're like, I don't remember this.
Yeah.
No, Juggernaut. This is fun that we're getting him, but that's not what I expected. I thought The Cure was next, you know? That's crazy. Turning into Christopher Walken. This is crazy.
It's also the first appearance of Cable, Mystique, Pyro, Richter, Blob, Feral, Avalanche, Caliban, Gargoyle, Sunfire, Northstar, and Aurora.
Oh, jeez. That's a record. How many? That's a record for our characters being introduced. I think we haven't had this many. 12. Haven't had this many since the first episode, the pilot. But even then, I don't think there was 12 introduced. That's a crazy amount of characters. What do you think of this episode? Is this one that you really got into as a kid? Do you remember it as a kid?
I do remember this one. Yeah, the original Cable episode. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Cable's just a badass in this one, isn't he? It's just like, this guy is badass.
If you remember Cable, you probably remember me talking him up as a kid. Chances are that's what it is. All right, what was your favourite bit? Do you have a favourite bit, favourite quote?
Well, my favourite bit just has to be Cable. It's just, he's such a badass. Yeah, it's just, anytime Cable's on, everything's cool. He's got heaps of guns. You've said most of it already. It's just, he's awesome.
Yeah, what's not to like about him? Do you have a favourite quote now?
So it's got to be, there's got to be or more gators in the bayou.
Yeah, see, that was...
or the wild man of Borneo.
So, well, that's funny that you picked those ones because those are my two picks as well.
They are the best.
They are. I love the sarcasm because you learn so much about Cable by his answer. Well, who are you? The wild man of Borneo. It means... I'm not interested in talking to you. What are you going to learn by learning who I am? How's this helping me at all? He just says, I'll see you around. It's just, you get so much attitude from him in that line. It's a really cool line. But there's more gators in the bayou. Also another cool line that you get. It's a cool, like, how that scene is right before an ad break. That's a good line to take you into the ad too. That's always more gators in the bayou.
Gambit was also cool in this one, but he was so mysterious in that. But he knew what he was doing. But yeah, that was awesome. He was well written in this one as well.
I think my favourite bit was probably either the Terminator Sentinel or Cable's reveal for the first time, because We've been hearing about him for so long, hearing the tease of the music. You want to know, who's this music belong to, and what's this mysterious force that's blowing up the trees, blowing up the cars, and we get the huge tilt-up, big reveal shot of Cable, and he's magnificent. So I think, yeah, that's probably my favourite bit in the episode, that one.
I was a bit disappointed there was no leader beans in the prisoners' cells.
The leader bean.
That would have been great, even though that was made a few years after. But
this predates the leader episode of The Simpsons by several years. But that's so good.
It is a cool ending though. Like it is a big hook to get you in for the next episode. It's like, what the hell happened to the mansion?
I know.
What did we miss?
We leave the mansion for one day and it gets totaled. But going back to the leader beans, I couldn't help but draw parallels to the Simpsons episode of the leader. Watching this one again, I'm the leader. We love the leader.
Also, we probably should mention that North Star is also the first gay mutant.
Which one's North Star? The twin?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
North Star and Aurora.
Well, that's they barely touch on that.
No, they don't.
I don't think they touch on it.
I don't think they want to bring that up.
No, I think the biggest controversy is what's the fire guy's name? Not Sunflower.
Sunfire.
Sunfire. His accent.
Yeah.
We should play a game of Is It Racist?
Oh. No, we follow you once before to disaster. We deal with the Sentinels when all of Genosha is ours. Come on!
I don't want to do an impression of him because that could lead down a rabbit hole of...
That's the same game.
It's the same game, but yeah, I mean, it's hard to get, like, I know, ethnic characters. I'll commend the X-Men animated series for putting him in there and not changing his origin, turning him into a white guy, but couldn't you get an Asian actor to do it? Because I'm pretty sure that's not an Asian actor doing his Asian accent.
Jackie Chan could have sent over his voice.
His English wasn't that good back then, so I'm thinking maybe they could have just found a proper voice actor, but we won't delve into that. That's ancient history. All right, and this is where we normally have some tally time, but seeing we've only got one claw draw, I'll say we can still play tally time. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 dead Sentinels. So that'll be our tally time, just all the dead Sentinels.
So the one claw draw brings us to 21.
All right, yeah.
There's no Bubs, so we're still at 3 there, and still no Beast quotes. No Beast at all in this episode.
No, we don't need him. No, don't need to cut to the jail, see Beast reading a new book on philosophy. And but what was I going to say? So all the episodes so far, we've had at least one claw draw from Wolverine. Is that right? We haven't had one episode where he has...
Yes, we've always had multiple claw draws. This is the first single.
Okay, and the record-setting 8 from the last episode. So this is something to keep in mind. Do we ever see an episode where there's no claw draw in it?
We'll find out.
Well, yeah, we'll find out, and I'll have my eye open for that because that'll be something interesting.
Is there any cool sound effects in this one that you picked up on?
I just heard a repeat of the Terminator 2 wall exploding, the meow sort of exploding. Yep. And whenever there's Sentinels, there's RoboCop 2 sound effects of the Kane robot. So I don't think I cut in any examples from the first time I heard it. So I'll have a watch to RoboCop 2 and see if I can get some precise soundtrack sound bites that were lifted from the movie.
Jubilee, Jubilee.
But we cannot capitulate in the war on crime.
So how do you rate this episode?
See, this one is pretty good for me. I couldn't think of, and no real blemishes come up, but now all I can think about is all that reinforced steel and how that's not logically used for construction. But previous to that, I thought it was just, this is a very solid episode for me. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to rate too, because I don't want to push it too high like it's the greatest episode I've ever seen. It's good, but I think I'd rate it about an 8, same as Cold Vengeance. Maybe an 8.5 if we're going with those sort of things.
Okay.
So it's either an 8 or an 8.5, but otherwise still a very solid episode for me. Not a perfect 10. I don't think anything could be a perfect 10.
No, I don't think so.
And for me to rate it a 9, it'd have to be pretty stellar. But yeah, this is a very heavy rewatched episode for me, so I'll go 8.5.
Yeah, I've given it an 8 too.
Ooh!
I think it's better than the last episode. I like this one better.
Really? Even though there's lack of Sabretooth.
Yes.
There's no Sabretooth in this episode, and you're rating it higher than Cold Vengeance.
Surprisingly,
Whoa,
yes.
setting records. All right, you've managed to get through the episode, and now we're up to the money part of the show when we get to our dream cast of an X-Men movie if it was made in the early 90s before the whole Bryan Singer X-Men trilogy sort of thing. So in the previous episode, I talked about what it would be like. Would you cast Jean-Claude Van Damme as Gambit? And Brooksy really hooked onto the idea. Yeah. So we had to go away and write up our cast. And I haven't picked any sort of specific lineup. Say if the first appearance of the X-Men had Xavier, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Iceman, Beast without the fur, and Angel. I didn't pick a specific sort of lineup. I just wrote down the actors and characters as they came to me. I was like, oh, that'd be a good thing. Let's see if they fit in the 90s. So I don't know how you
went a bit of a different way.
Okay.
I just went with the cast that's on the animated show.
Yeah.
And then sort of went, oh, yeah, that person could do that. That person could do that. And then
So, yeah, I didn't think it that thoroughly.
I just typed in like top movies from the 90s and then just went through them with all the cast and went, oh, that person could play that person could be that.
The hardest part for me was finding actresses to find that could fit into these roles. All the blokes sort of fell into place. But for me, I was just like, oh man. I started going through all my favourite movies with female characters into them.
Yeah.
And now as I'm talking about now, I'm thinking of even more. But anyway, we'll go on. We'll get on with it. Brooksy, would you like to do yours first?
Well, how do you want to do this? Do you want to start off with a character or?
Oh, okay. I'll see if because I don't know how many characters you've got and I've got, but let's just do that.
Okay, so we'll start off with Cyclops. Who do you think should be Cyclops?
See, I wrote down for Cyclops, I'd have Ethan Hawke because I think this was before. I don't know what his film career was like at the moment. I just know that he was a much younger actor back then in the early 90s, and I wanted to keep Cyclops, Jean Grey, all those a bit of a say 20s. So they're not as young as the X-Men Apocalypse, but not as old as X-Men, the first Bryan Singer movie. Because, what was his name? James Marsden, who's playing Cyclops there. Right. He looks a bit older than everybody else.
Yep.
So that's the age that I wanted him at.
Right.
Who did you have for Cyclops? I want to hear this.
See, I just wrote a lot of people down, and I kind of just want to get your reaction to who I think.
So you got a couple. Okay, I like that.
So let's start off. Tom Cruise.
That's a bold choice.
Can you imagine him with the visor on? That's what I was saying.
Well, that comes very easily to see him with the visor because he always seems to be wearing sunglasses in his movies. He always has that fringe hanging over the sunglasses. So I could see that straight up.
He was the first one that came to mind.
Wow, really? That's How old would he have been in the 90s? Because he did...
I didn't look this up. I didn't look up the ages.
He was like Interview with a Vampire, so he might have been mid-20s or something, late 20s, I'm not too sure, but that's an interesting choice.
I also had the Hoff.
Hasselhoff as Cyclops.
Hoff is the leader.
That'd be taking it into a sort of a camp sort of vibe because I think he's just doing Baywatch at that time.
Yeah.
And he's looking a bit old, man. But yeah, that's just me. But for my class, I wanted him young. But maybe the Hoff. I'm leaning towards more of Tom Cruise of those two picks because he seems to have that sort of authority, smugness, sort of clean cut sort of look about him. So maybe.
I also had the Sways.
I had the Sways for somebody as well, but I think I got rid of him in favour of someone else. I can't remember who I had the Sways as.
And Crispin Glover. And Rob Lowe.
Rob Lowe, yes, I can see that. But Crispin Glover, that is Marty McFly's dad.
And also I sort of cheated with Michael Biehn as well because he was sort of in the running to be...
Michael Biehn from Terminator.
Yeah.
Kyle Reese.
Because, he also come to mind because he was in the running to be Cyclops in the first movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, man, I thought he would have been way too old for that for 1999. Oh, maybe. But that's an interesting choice because I thought I was looking up just new stuff about Michael Biehn. James Cameron wanted him for Spider-Man when James Cameron was going to do it. The more sort of grown up sort of feel to it. But yeah, it's an interesting choice. I think Rob Lowe could slot in there easy, but the standout one for me is Tom Cruise. But when you think about that, do you think, how would you cast it? Are you allowed one big name actor, or you can just throw in as many actors as you can? Don't worry about the budget.
Yeah,
Whoever's,
that's what I was thinking.
That's what you're going along the lines of? See, I think I was going along the lines of you get one big star to hold the film down. And all
You're thinking too much like a film director. I'm just thinking like, who could be awesome?
Who's the best for the role? Just assume that they're all available.
All right, so let's move on. How about Wolverine?
See what? I'm judging this pick now because I don't know. It's not seems like the obvious choice not to pick him. I wanted Wolverine older than the rest of them, so I went Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell, yes.
You got Kurt Russell.
I did.
That's awesome.
Yes, I thought he'd be awesome.
See,
I was mainly thinking Hateful Eight because all the facial hair. I'm like, yes, that is Wolverine.
I was thinking him and Big Trouble in Little Chinatown because they're not as playful, but he had the sort of the big crazy hair, the unshaven look, and he was a bit sarcastic at that. If he mixed that up with a little bit of Wyatt Earp and give us that sort of little bit of tortured but smart ass as well,
Tombstone, baby,
tombstone him up a little bit, then we get a good villain, Wolverine and Kurt Russell. That's crazy that we picked the same guy. Did you have any other backup guys?
I had a few others. You ready for this one?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Paul Hogan.
No.
Come on, he's Australian.
Oh, no. From the Pride of the X-Men. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Just because Hugh Jackman's Australian. See, I went that route as well. I thought Russell Crowe go the whole Australian thing, but then I thought, nah, let's keep him American and have Kurt Russell in there because...
All right, how about Mad Mel?
Mad Mel? I can't remember who's picked that. Well, I think it was Steve's pick for Wolverine as it's Hellbound Mel Gibson. That would have been around the time Lethal Weapon was just finishing up for the first sort of time, Lethal Weapon 3. Or, that would have worked, Would have been pretty cool. But,
I also had Jack Nicholson.
That's Wolverine.
Yep.
What?
He could play it. And also Michael Madsen.
Michael Madsen would be pretty cool.
I thought he'd be cool.
He'd be a cool Sabretooth, come to think of it. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool playing that Ice Cold. He's a bit taller too. Oh, that Jack Nicholson, maybe One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Jack Nicholson. Yeah. But if 90s, that's when he was in Wolf, right, with Michelle Pfeiffer. So he's already sort of playing a bit of Wolverine, but I don't see him as the super ripped Wolverine that he needs to be. But that's an interesting pick. I didn't even think about Jack.
So Gambit, we had Jean-Claude.
Jean-Claude didn't have anybody else from him. He was just too perfect as Gambit, and he would have been my big... I don't know, now going back to Kurt Russell, but I think Jean-Claude would have been the one with the biggest paycheck, I think, and I'd have to make Gambit a sort of a leading sort of character instead of the background character. But as much as I would love to see a Jean-Claude playing like a supporting role, which I think he'd be really good at in small doses. He could really be like a show stealer, but if he had to anchor a whole X-Men movie by himself, it might be a bit of a hard watch. But so Jean-Claude all the way.
I had two backups for Gambit.
Oh, okay. Let me hear it.
Charlie Sheen or Billy Zane?
Oh, what? Charlie Sheen or Billy Zane? Oh, boy. I could see Billy doing it more so than Charlie Sheen. I think Charlie Sheen was a bit too Charlie Sheen at the time, even back then. But Billy Zane is an interesting pick. He's got the sort of looks that I think that he would use his looks to try and woo Rogue or one of the chicks around. I could see, that's actually a pretty good one, Billy Zane, I reckon. He could definitely get that flirty sort of Cajun across, play with the accent a little bit. That's a neat pick, that one.
All right, how about your favourite Rogue?
Rogue, see, this is a weird one as well. I'm looking at the name. I said, why was I thinking that name? I put Nev Campbell from Scream, because I didn't want to do all the obvious sort of choices, even though I have no idea what the obvious choice would have been. This is when I racked my brains. I thought I wanted someone young of that that can still be cute but have like a sense of power as well, and that more mind just went, Nev Campbell Scream. So I think she was about 21. 93, 94, which is about the sort of age you wanted to be. And just to see her play like a confident sort of character rather than the what's his name? Not Sydney. Cindy. Sydney. Sydney.
It's Sydney.
Cindy's in the Scary Movie one. So Sydney. So she's not a lot of fun about her. I think she'd be really interesting if she like stretched to play like a fun sort of character, and she had that sort of at that age. She had that sort of cute sort of facial structure, and I'd like to see her in a brown mullet with the white hair through it and a green bandana. What about you?
Demi Moore,
Sex pot,
Lucy Lawless,
Xena.
You reckon?
Oh yeah. She had real maturity to her though. Yeah, carry on.
I also had Denise Richards and Cameron Diaz.
Denise Richards, she would have rocked it. I think that's a really good choice, actually. Denise Richards. Who was the other one after
Cameron Diaz?
Cameron Diaz. Oh yeah. Maybe. I think Denise is the strongest one there, though.
So do I.
Yeah. Put her in anything.
So Jean. Who you got for Jean?
Jean, I went Kate Winslet from Titanic because got to go with the red hair. She had the full lips, and she seems like a type that has the mature sort of looks that would attract an older male as well as blend in with, say, an Ethan Hawke. And I think with that dynamic going on, you'd much rather cheer for Kurt Russell to get Kate Winslet as opposed to Ethan Hawke, because Ethan Hawke is sort of dweeby looking.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone would want to cheer for him to end up with the girl. So I went with Kate Winslet because I think it's pre-Titanic. She has the red hair. And that's just where my mind went for that one. Seemed like a choice for me. Because
I went with Tom Cruise.
Yes.
I went with Nicole Kidman.
Oh! See, that would have been pretty good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like how our casting goes with who the partner is and of the same age. So, Tom Cruise. See, that would have been like a big sort of reuniting Days of Thunder when they first started together and Eyes Wide Shut. So, and yeah, she was around Batman Forever, so she's
hard
entrance to see her in a natural red hair. That would have been a really neat choice too. Wow, that's and Kurt Russell's Wolverine.
Yep.
See, that's probably a really solid choice for Jean if Kurt Russell's Wolverine, Nicole Kidman as Jean. That's a good one. I like that.
So my backup Jeans were Julia Roberts or Julianne Moore.
See, that's where I went too. Those are the obvious. Like, who had red hair in the 90s?
That's right.
I don't want to go them. And I didn't even think of Nicole Kidman because I just think of 90s Nicole Kidman, blonde, Chase Meridian. So I went with Kate Winslet. But yeah, I think it's funny how we went to the stock redhead actresses.
Did you have anyone for Beast?
Beast, I went the old favourite, Kelsey Grammer.
Frasier,
yeah. I went Frasier because Frasier's still happening
one.
at that time. He would have been easily the number one choice. And what's crazy is that they got him for X-Men Wolverine, X-Men 3 because he was perfect. Just literally perfect. He's that sort of the philosopher sort of guy, very sophisticated way of speaking, American. You just think Frasier, you think Kelsey Grammer, you think Sideshow Bob, and I'd love to hear him say those sort of lines. And he was probably my favourite bit out of X-Men 3. Just the fact that they got Kelsey Grammer to play Beast. Well, that's just perfect. So I couldn't see anyone else really playing him. I'm sure if you mentioned some names, I was pretty narrow-minded, but Kelsey Grammer's Beast.
I had Kiefer Sutherland.
Okay.
And Robin Williams.
Oh, wow, Robin Williams.
All he needs is the blue paint. He's already got the
He's already hairy enough. Wow, that's a really interesting choice. Robin Williams, you get that sophistication across with the Good Will Hunting and that sort of thing, and add a bit of humour as well. Man, that's a solid pick for Beast. Mate, Robin Williams, good one.
So I think I'm running down the start order here. So the next one is Professor X.
I had Sam Neill.
Sam Neill.
Jurassic Park.
That's a different one.
I went a little bit younger than what was expected because I don't know how old he was in Jurassic Park, but I thought, you know what? I think I'd like to see him in the chair doing the professor stuff. He could bring sort of like a warmness to his character. There was the way he was eventually dealt with the kids in Jurassic Park. He's like that sort of father sort of figure, and he's got a great voice. Well, I mean, early 90s, you think, maybe Patrick Stewart Picard still caught up in Star Trek mode. He probably wouldn't get the leave yet. But just to shake things up, go different, I went with Sam Neill because, I'd like to see him as Professor X.
So I was also racking my brain for bald 90s.
See, I went with hair, just shave his head off.
So I've come up with Ben Kingsley.
Oh, okay.
John Malkovich.
Well, I got John Malkovich in another role, but
Ed Harris,
yeah.
and also Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey. Oh, okay, yeah. See, those guys seem like really sort of harsh picks. Like John Malkovich, as cool as he is, he doesn't seem like he could bring the warmth.
No.
Bring the warmth that Professor X needs.
But the professor's a douche in this.
Yeah. All right, if we're going from the animated series, he could douche it up as the animated series Professor X. Well, who's your first pick? Ben Kingsley was the guy. Okay.
Yeah.
What was he doing at the time? Was he doing much?
Oh, I can't remember. No, you're the movie guy.
But a bit too villainous. But hey, fits in keeping with the animated series. If
that's right.
Don't like the nice warm professor.
Did you have anyone for Jubilee?
I had Eliza Dushku from True Lies.
Yes.
You know, she's around that sort of younger age. I mean, you can try and rack your brains trying to find the sort of Asian actresses at that time, and I couldn't think of any. I mean, Kelly Hu, who played Lady Deathstrike in X-Men 2, she was a much younger, but I'm not sure if she's acting back then. So that could have been a cool pick as well, but I went Eliza Dushku, just a familiar sort of face, tested, knows how to... who was a capable actress already. So that's who I went for Jubilee.
I had Lucy Liu or Maggie Q.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I can see them sliding in to a Jubilee sort of character.
Time.
Yeah, for sure. Fits in.
Now, this is the one I had the hardest with. Storm,
I think the one that first come to me was like the actress out of Vampire in Brooklyn, Angela Bassett. I think she also played Tina Turner in the movie as well, and I think she was a lot of fan favourites for the role of Storm going into the movie.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of talk, she's this big, this accomplished actress. I think she's nominated for acting awards, and she's a very accomplished actress already. But she lost out. I don't even know if she went for it, but Halle Berry got it in the end. But yeah, a lot of people were saying Angela Bassett, so I just went with Angela Bassett.
What about Tina Turner, though?
Coming off Thunderdome.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one. I thought she might ham it up, but then she seemed like a bit older than everybody else. How old did you factor that into your decisions?
Yeah, I always thought Storm was a bit older in the cartoon.
In the cartoon, she reads a lot older, so closer to Wolverine's age.
That's the way I was coming at it.
Okay.
I also had Pam Grier.
Oh, yes, Jackie Brown, Pam Grier. Yeah, I thought, she might be a bit too old to be an X-Man, I thought. I think she'd have to be, I don't know. That's just where mine went with, I think Angela Bassett was at the sort of perfect sort of age. Older, but not too old.
So, we got a couple of bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
How about, you got any Magneto?
He was my John Malkovich.
Oh, okay.
I had, because I wanted to see him going up against Sam Neill in a monologue off.
Yeah.
He could have bring a more intense sort of energy to Magneto that could really got to get in your face, that unblinking power sort of thing. And Sam Neill's a real sort of calm, laid back sort of thing. And with Ian McKellen in the movie, as Magneto, as good as he is, I really like Ian McKellen as Magneto. He didn't really have that super threat about him that he was gonna it could really rip the adamantium out of Wolverine and toss him across the room or smash some cars together, and more of a real hatred of humanity. It was sort of more of a restrained thing. I would like to have seen a Magneto have that sort of rage on the surface and that intensity on the surface. So that's why I went with John Malkovich as Magneto. And I'd love to hear him say some of those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like,
I went with Sean Connery.
Sean Connery.
My other pick was the Walken.
Christopher Walken as Magneto.
You imagine the Walken.
The brave are usually the first to die.
Shame on you. I also thought Daniel Day-Lewis might go. I'd like to see where he went with it.
He'd go full into that role, like he does that full commitment to all the roles he takes. Daniel Day-Lewis would have been a real intense one, but in terms of ham fact, I mean, Sean Connery and Christopher Walken, I'd love to hear either of those guys say some of the lines.
Exactly what I was thinking.
My people use words while the others use tanks. Never again.
So you also mentioned you had a Sabretooth?
I just went up, just in speaking, I didn't have Sabretooth written down here. I just thought Michael Madsen would have been a good Sabretooth, but that was just, I didn't have one written down. Who'd you have for Sabretooth?
Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke, yeah, he was a bit quiet in the 90s, but he was real buff at that time.
That's what I was thinking, the buff.
The buff is the stuff, and you could see him going up against Kurt Russell in this sort of thing. He tends to be like the sort of, the big powerhouse at that time. So Mickey Rourke could have worked if he didn't hate acting at that time.
Yeah. And also, I had Colossus. You got the obvious. You got Dolph Lundgren or Arnie.
I didn't put Arnie in any of my picks. I would have preferred to see Dolph Lundgren as Colossus.
Yep.
Yeah, because that would have that seems the more obvious choice. He already played a Russian in Rocky 4, and he could slot straight into Colossus as bit. I reckon he could have been funny as Colossus, blonde Colossus. Oh no, he could have the black hair from the Punisher.
Exactly.
Yep. It's a solid pick.
So, did you have one for Cable?
I don't think I did. I didn't have one for Cable. I think it was just too hard to pick one who can bring that sort of badass quality. Like, even when they announced the Cable was going to be in Deadpool 2, I didn't have a clear pick in my head. It was like, who's going to be that cool and badass? I didn't want to pick Arnie because the voice was a bit of a deterrent. So what American actor could really bring the noise as Cable? So I didn't have anything. Who did you have?
Well, I thought badass big gun.
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, he was
strap the shoulder pads on Dirty Harry.
Bit tall and lanky for the Cable.
He'd have to bulk out a bit, but I can see that.
Okay, could work. Yeah.
He can deliver those lines.
Yeah, he did the Rookie around that time, so he's still very physically capable.
The only other guy I had was Keanu Reeves as Iceman.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that'd be cool.
See, I was trying to squeeze Keanu in somewhere.
So was I.
But I couldn't. So no, he's not Cyclops. He's too lovable to be Cyclops. He needs to be that sort of...
Yeah.
And Iceman, that's a good pick for
that's what I thought.
For Keanu. I can't remember who I had for Keanu. I didn't write it down. But I wanted to get Keanu in there because I like him. Did you have anybody else?
That was all I had. Tia Carrera as Psylocke.
Oh, yeah, Tia Carrera as Psylocke. Yeah, that fits. I wouldn't argue with that.
That was the only
other
other
very
one
popular pick. So who I've got Gambit, Storm, Jean Grey, Rogue, Wolverine, Magneto, Jubilee, Xavier, Beast. I had for Bishop, time traveling guy. I had Carl Weathers.
Oh,
as
that's
Bishop.
awesome.
Dylan from
Dominant.
Predator and Apollo from Rocky. And he's just coming off Action Jackson. Put the wig on him, have it a mullet or something cool, put that big red bandana on. I can hear him saying traitor. Traitor? My men were in that chopper when it got hit. Oh, man. Carl Weathers is perfect for Bishop.
Oh, that's cool.
I could so see that. Bishop... also had Emma Frost. She's not in any of the cartoons, but she was in the later movies. I just had a Sharon Stone.
Yep.
So it's the older sort of psychic, sort of like trying to seduce or be sexy to the other ones. And she was pretty hot at that time, coming off Basic Instinct and Total Recall and maybe the Quick and the Dead or whatever. And for Apocalypse, I had Michael Ironside, Richter from Total Recall. Double Richter talk. See you at the party, Richter. But he had that sort of Quaid. That's Quaid. And he's had that sort of deep, angry sort of voice. And I think the obvious choice for Apocalypse back then would have been James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
But you can't have Darth Vader, Mustafa, Apocalypse, and the CNN guy. You can't use James Earl Jones.
You can't do everything.
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
Let's go somewhere different with it. Have Michael Ironside in there. I mean... The special effects makeup in X-Men Apocalypse wasn't that much different from Ivan Ooze in the Power Rangers in the early 90s. You could probably get the same sort of thing, a little bit cooler. Might have been taken a lot longer in the 90s, but I had Michael Ironside as Apocalypse. But just for me, I was thinking my favourite Dreamcast is Bishop as Carl Weathers. I mean, to me, that's my perfect pick. Who's your favourite one that fit in the most? I think I'd rate Carl Weathers as Bishop is even better than Jean-Claude Van Damme as Gambit. So
or Kurt Russell as Wolverine.
That's a pretty good one too.
I like my Cyclops, Jean Grey, Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman pairing. I like
of
that
your
one.
ones, I like that one the best. More so Jean Grey as Nicole Kidman because that fit in with Cyclops and it fit in with Wolverine too because that'd have been really cool. Kurt Russell trying to pick up
Nicole Kidman,
Jean Grey, and Nicole Kidman. But of mine, it's Bishop and Carl Weathers. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was a good one.
I like that.
I like that. I think if we think of any more later on, we could add some more. But
if anyone else out there thinks of something,
for sure, if anyone's got any better picks than us, I'm sure that everyone's got their own different sort of picks. If you reckon you can beat Carl Weathers as Bishop, I'm ready to hear what African American actor can top that. Because the new guy in Apocalypse, he didn't say much. The guy playing Bishop in that one is more or less an X-Cameo.
Yeah.
And it didn't really get the service that I would have liked to see out of my Bishop. # not my Bishop. But I really love Carl Weathers as Bishop, and I better stop saying that.
So this week we got our first tweet.
Oh, excellent. Someone's tweeted us?
Yes. At Lawser88.
Oh, okay.
It's Dr. Matt.
Dr. Matt. I wonder if he's a real academic.
I don't know what university he's been to, but sounds a bit dodgy to me.
No.
So anyway, he enjoyed our last podcast and would like us to include more Detroit Tigers bashing.
Oh, no. I'll leave all the Detroit Tigers bashing or sledging to you, Brooks. I don't follow baseball enough to know if they're a dud team or not.
But yeah, keep those tweets coming in. Yeah, man. We'll read them all out.
Love to read them out.
Any correspondence on any of our social medias, we'll read out. We'll give you a shout out.
Yeah, tweet us on there, man. We'll give these social media shout outs right now, should I, Brooks?
Go through.
Rate and subscribe to us on iTunes and Podbean. You can also find us on Podcast Addict and Pocket Casters. Like and share our page on Facebook at Generation X-Men. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Gen X-Men Pod. At Gen X-Men Pod for some behind-the-scenes photos and videos. Or if you want to tweet us like our Dr. Matt, we're more than happy to read them. Or you can contact us via Facebook IM or by email, generationxmenpodcast@gmail.com. What's up for us next week, Brooksy?
So next week we've got Season 1, Episode 8. I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. Oh, wait, no, it's called The Unstoppable Juggernaut.
I got to do the research and see how we've come to that catchphrase, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
That's actually, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch is from Season 3, Episode 5. That's the one they're actually parodying.
Oh, okay.
But anyway.
I'm glad you've already done the research, because I probably would have forgotten about it.
Yeah. The Unstoppable Juggernaut next week.
That's another fun episode too. Remember what I said earlier about us being on a roll?
Yep.
This is going to be another hard one to rate
awesome
because
episode.
I don't want to give it, it's a good episode, this one. Alright, that's it from us here at Generation X-Men. I hope you had as much fun listening as we had talking. Thanks for hosting again, Brooksy, and we'll see you next time.
Take it easy. See you, Bender.
Bye-bye.